is March 21st, 2020, and I am looking at the case of Sherry Ann WoundedFoot out of South Dakota. She was found beaten to death, pretty much, still holding on to life, but barely, behind a building in White Clay, Nebraska. White Clay is a very small community, if you can call it that, that had 4 beer like convenience stores open. Now I don't know what's gone on with them since, but in 2018, might not have my days right. I just looked at some information. I know that they were closed for a year, and I don't know if it's been reopened, but there's a lot of problems with people who are addicted hanging around those areas, and so it's been a long problem. And it's like a community of, I think, 12 to 14 people, White Clay. And I will put in the description box a link to a documentary that I think is important in connection to understand more perhaps about the community and this case. That is, by the way, a wound vac in the background. It's not a loud fart. If I did fart, I would say excuse me. I'm polite, if nothing else. So I'm on bed rest, and I beg your pardon for any poor production here. I'm doing what I can. So back to Sherry Ann's case. I wanted to read on her case. And I only try to kind of skim the surface so I can kind of ground. It's like an anchoring point of information. And then I try not to get too buried. I enjoy kind of doing that after I read. So I'd like to see if I'm tracking. So my initial reading is just to usually see if I can track, because you can't always, sometimes you just can't read on everyone. I've had it where I had trouble to read on people, and it just wasn't going to happen. So you just have to say, well, okay, not today, maybe not ever, but other times you think you're getting somewhere and you can be misinterpreting things because you don't have context. So you may not know even what you're seeing, what it might mean. I've had that a lot. And when you tell someone, it makes complete sense to them. It's like, well, good, I'm glad at least that makes sense to you. Especially when you're dealing with people or things that you are not familiar with that you're reading on. And I'm not very well versed on White Clay, although it is something that does now pull my interest. Sherry's case has pulled my interest, and this is a real problem that people on reservations that live there, and just the indigenous community has its problems with the problem of substance abuse, and they need a lot of help, and they don't have the resources, and it's criminal. It's got to be changed, and they have to receive these things. It's just not right. Okay. Without further ado, Sherry was 50 years old, and she was found August 17th in 2016. In White Clay, Nebraska, behind a building. And I'm wanting to ask Spirit and the ancestors, with all due respect, what can you share with us about Sherry Ann's passing? What might we need to know that would be useful? ask you to guide my interpretation so that I interpret the symbols and intuition correctly. If I don't, it's all on me. Okay. Sherry Ann Wounded Foot, White Clay, Nebraska. I get the page. This is a new deck for me, so I do like it, but it's a little bit different. The Page of Coins. Okay. So it deals with a material worth or something in the earthly realm. Information. I'm getting like a message. Okay. Bear with me, I have to get these basic symbols and kind of to orient myself. So that's what's covering her situation there at White Clay. There was a message. Some kind of message. Looking for something. Alright. And what crosses her? I feel like she was lured. Okay. To a certain, no matter if she was there or where she was there, I feel like she was lured with this card. I felt that before, actually. I looked at this case late last night, and I started getting too sleepy, but I remember certain key parts of it. And I do remember that sense of that she may have been lured. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn this around so this can face the camera. So this is her, and I don't know if you can see it now or not, but I just feel like she's kind of being lured, even perhaps just something drawing her there. And, I know she had a problem with drink and things, so that's a give. All right, that's not a problem. I mean, it is a problem, but I understand that she was there. And what's crossing her is the Ten of Swords. And it's brutal. It's a brutal end. Needless to say, that's tracking. So I don't know if she was lured or somebody left her a message, but it feels like there is something in the earthly realm like a message, or she's going there to get something, perhaps beer, yeah. But it feels to me like there's somewhere that she's to meet someone anyhow, at a certain area there. Maybe that's what I should get to say. And there's a brutal end that awaits her here. So I do feel like this feels not a spur of the moment so much at this point. Okay. Now, what this is based on is the Emperor. So it is an older male figure. Could be an authority of some kind, or like a father, a male relative, usually a father or a husband. I don't know if she was going somewhere to meet up with something in regard to a male. Now we're going to get what's crowning her. It's the Wheel of Fortune. Again, there's a sense to me of a bit of a plan in this. Forgive me, I'm getting used to this new camera. Seems to me like there's a bit of a plan in this. I still get that luring, and that this is connected to something that had happened before. This is connected to an event that had happened before. There's a sense of fate and a karmic wheel here that is playing out. And it's as a result of something like a domino effect. So you can see that. Okay, now this is going to go, because I'm having to read kind of upside down from my angle, in her past. So that'd be right there. Maybe I'll just put that there. And this would have to do with like an illness and recovery. This would be a long recovery time prior to this. I feel like she may have been sick or something prior to her passing. She may have been sick, and I don't know if she was hospitalized for something, or like that kind of a serious situation, or in care of some kind. But I feel like she was not well at the time, and it certainly wouldn't have been at the time of her death. She may not have been completely well here. Okay. Poor baby. Gosh. And then I see the Queen of Wands. And this would be around her at this point. Would have been in her environment. So it's weird. This is the second time I've done a reading and I've gotten, again, females around her, or a female around her. This could be her showing up in her own reading, saying, this is me. I think that's what it is, because she was a fire sign. She was a Leo, so I think she's like, get it right, sister. I'm the flashy gal there. Okay, and this is my story. Feels targeted. She was like, I feel like the message of this reading is she was targeted. And it's all in connection to a male. Something about a man. Something about a man's, perhaps his own brutal death or attack. Yeah. In her awareness is the position of the tower. It's the sudden attack. It comes from, someone catch you with your guard down. It's the vulnerability in the way you live, no matter who you are or how that affects you. It's where you're vulnerable. Excuse me, I am so thirsty. And she's got a King of Pentacles in her environment. So if this is her, and I am taking that it is, I'm showing outside of her in this placement, which is the environment, that what's in who and what is basically the question for the whatever card that happens to fall in this slot, and this one happens to be a man, a King of Pentacles. This is a man that has very earthy drive. He would be a bit of a glutton for food or drink, sex, that kind of thing. Very much of the physical body, earthly realm. So I'm feeling like there was a male presence with her that evening. possibly another female presence if this is not indicative of her, but I do believe this is indicative of her. And I'm getting a male here. So that would be a male of typically, but not always, of an earth sign. They would just, might be someone that has a lot of those traits, which would, and earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Yeah. She feared being attacked. There's the Knight of Swords in her hopes and fears, and I think she knew this person was a threat to her. Maybe this person used someone else as a messenger or to lure her. I get a feeling there's a bit of some trickery going on there, because I feel like she knew that she needed to be careful, that she knew that she was in a dangerous situation with somebody. And I think she knew that it was this particular male. And what has come about is the block, certainly. Nothing has happened. They haven't... There was such mishandling in this case that it became one of the key reasons why they ended up shutting down, as well as the long-time activism of a fellow by the name of, and I want to get that here. Let's see if I can find that. Of course I can't. Anyway, there's been a long time activism by people also to get these places. Frank Lemire. I'm sorry, Frank. You know, hard working fella, apparently, to try to get these places closed down. Nothing has really moved, though, much with her case, is what I get. I get from this that this is such a small area. White Clay, a population of, like what I said, 12, maybe 14, give or take. They have an incredibly high crime rate for such a tiny population. Of course, the alcohol factor that was there, that it drew people. Nonetheless, for Sherry's case, there were a lot of people that ended up dying there and not getting help the way they needed to. And I will also include some links to that. It's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Prepare yourself. For some people, for non-Indigenous folks, it's nothing new, unfortunately. So we have just this kind of dead end that it just feels to me like it's neither going forward or backward. It's just not active. Her case needs to be activated. I'm going to pull some more cards. Here's the Sun and the Five of Swords. I feel like there will be light shed on some of the more some rumors, maybe even looking at that 5. I feel like this is also going to there should be light being put upon people that were in that community. I think they're going to kind of know. I'm getting that this case is solvable. Light may yet come upon somebody that was, I think, responsible for her death and probably maybe some others. There's just something super shady that gets a big dose of astringent sunlight. The DES. And I almost feel like, ooh, I kind of got a bit of a I got goosebumps. I feel like Sherry Ann is like saying, my death needs to be mean something at this point, that this needs to be changed. I feel like she wants the cases and for people to really understand and look at, I believe, the addiction and mental health issues and resources that are needed, and make sure that Indigenous people have access to that and quality care. In fact, that is a big issue, period. And it needs to be, all of it needs to be rehauled, because it just, most people do not get, and they even less so than everyone else. Temperance. Yes, there needs to be temperance. There needs to be a balance here. And she's talking about, I believe, the bigger picture.